Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Mordechai. Got to show you this gift I got in the mail. Another license plate. This is a good one. I don't know if you could zoom in. How much does it cost to send something this small from America to Israel? Zoom in. Can't? $66.95. Almost $67. Another gorgeous gift I received. Let me read it. This is a Yonah wine rib. A hadron from Yonah wine rib. Yeshua for your amazing shiurim. Keep steiging and growing. Mishpachas Leng, Yerushalayim, and Brooklyn. Shkoyach, really appreciate it. Rabbi Isai, before we really begin, one of our Chabura who lives nearby, I mentioned it yesterday, but I have a picture now. He's the one that's in charge. He's responsible for all the design work in MDY for the last year or so, doing all the Ami magazines, all the posters, all the young guy with many young children. He's on a respirator. Rabbi Isai, here he is in the Beis Medrash, right over here. This guy, this is his best friend Yossi Klein, myself. He was here by the Siyum. Yeah. Shalom Baruch, Yehuda, Ben Malka, Fredo, Refuah, shleima. Just a few hours ago, maybe 2 hours ago, Shmuel Sam Gillig made his very, very first Siyum Tainus, and his buddies from the Shomrim, they actually made a logo with MDY smack in the middle of the Shomrim logo. They came to celebrate with him. It's a beautiful get-together of people from all over the tri-state area. And I realized they're using these cliques, these chevras, these hatzalah, the Shomrim for Torah. You're in a group, let's use that group for Torah. It's amazing. Here we have, this is also unbelievable, a very chashuv guy, special person. Avi Younger from Vienna, making his second siyum ever in Vienna. So you should have hatzlacha and finish all of Shas with us. So another gift we got were the socks. I don't know if you saw the socks yesterday. The other went wild. So am I wearing them. How can you not wear them? They're actually comfortable. So I want to thank Shalom Rand and whoever else is involved. I don't know if there are other people involved or not. I'm sure there are. Shalom Rand for making hundreds of pairs. And it's part of the merch. What, you want to see them? He's taking a picture. Here you go. All right, so we only have about 700 Gemaras left for sponsorship. And this is it. I'm not going to push, I hope, like this. Again, those who gave money, like I'm talking about nice amounts, Murad Nakash, Fischl, Yossi Klein, each one independently told me that as soon as they gave, Murad told me he gave a nice amount, sponsored one of the Gemaras, that day he sold a building that he couldn't sell for a year, whatever it was, for crazy price. Every one of them had a moifus. Why? It's a no-brainer. It's an unbelievable tzedakah. So I came up with an idea. I think every single person that contributes to this sponsorship, I will put them in, I'll make sure that they put them in the front page of the next Masechta. We'll have a whole list. Doesn't matter, even if you give one Gemara, we won't be Mavayish you. We won't say, Mr. So-and-so only gave one Gemara. We'll put him like in silver, up to $500. Your name will appear. V'chulu, v'chulu. I think it's a great idea. Everybody should be mishtatif. Now, today's shir is sponsored. The koilel, I should say. The koilel is sponsored. The Parnas HaChodesh for the koilel. Chayim from Lakewood. Lili Nishmas, Yeshua, Aryeh, Leyba, Kohen, Ben Yonis, Chayim, Zechron, Levracha. Maseches Megillah is the Davis and Kessler families in zechus for Refuah shleima from Miriam Esther, Devora. Maseches Megillah, Shmuly Hecht, F245, Lili Nishmas, Mordechai, Shleima, פינחס, טוביה, ben Avraham Moshe Peretz ner Yoir. In honor of RL 97 Akiva Tepper for introducing me to Rebelli's Daf. Paras HaChodesh, Daniel and Cyril Cohen, zechus Refuah shleima for Gavril ben Yomim ben Cyril Fruma, Shragi Feldman on the first yard side of Avi Moiri, Yehושע ben Baruch Nasan Zechron Baruch, who completed Shas Daf Yomi 5 cycles in his lifetime. Wow. Yitzy Grossberg, Lezech Nishmas, my father-in-law, Simcha Eliezer ben Yaakov David, Seit on his 20th yard side. Reuven Bodenheim, Eli Nishmas, Avi Moiri, Naftali ben Avraham on his 21st yard side. Shalom should have an aliyah. Yaakov and Malka Slatus in continued health of our son Alter Yeshaya ben Malka Chaya. Moshe Chaim Levenberg, Mazel Tov to Tobia Finger from Waterbury for joining MDY. I think I forgot to mention somebody. I don't have proof, but the guy that sent me the video of Rabbi Kalish talking about the MDY and everything, he himself joined the Daf Yomi. So that would be amazing if Rabbi Kalish himself joined. And by Toby Gordon, Rabbi Isai. Can't believe it's a year for Yerachmiel, Olav Shalom, Ben Yisrael, Sheyichya. Yerachmiel Gordon, who's going to forget Yerachmiel Gordon? The 8-year-old child that had a brain tumor, and we got to know his father very well. He learned with us on Zoom every day for many, many months. And it actually brought a lot of achdus in the chevra. People, before he was nifter, people were sending laptops, gifts. I talk about it all the time, but we got to repeat again because it's his yard site. And the guy sent, I don't know who it is, somebody sent them a pillowcase with the MDY logo, and Yerachmiel Olav Hashem used to sleep on that pillow. And by the Siyam Psachim in New York, Rabbi Yisrael Gordon gifted me that pillowcase, and he said, please use it at the Seder. Wow, that was an emotional Seder. Everybody in the hotel heard about the story. Everybody cried. It was crazy stuff. At the Shiva, Shlomi Klein, Lubavitcher Chassid from Crown Heights drove 2 hours to Lakewood, and he thought he's going to get out of there quickly. He said Shalom Aleichem. He didn't say Shalom Aleichem because you don't say Shalom Aleichem at the thing, but he says, my name is, he says, stop. I know your name. You're Shlomi Klein. I see you on Zoom every day. And he thought he's going to get out of there in 4 minutes. He ended up staying there for over 2 hours, schmoozing. So the camaraderie, the achdus that was shown through this, and continues to show Adayim Hazeh, should be a ilu neshoma for the young Yerachmiel. Rabbi Isai, today is Daf Zayin. We're holding on the top. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines down. Don't get too excited. Yes, we're a little bit into Amud Aleph, but I promise you, I'll try my hardest to make sure we don't finish the daf today. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Shmuel, Bar Yehuda. Excuse me. Esther wanted the following year that she should be known for generations to come. They should make her one of the ksuvim. Why? Why do you need this? You need to tell them how he killed all the enemies, and it's not good. It's already too late. Everybody knows about the story. Says these 4 said. Says the Gemara, and the Gemara says this many times. This is the extent of today's charts. This is what it's going to be. Very, very powerful charts. Anytime it says Rav, Reb Chanina, Reb Yochanan, Reb Chaviva, you switch the Reb Yochanan to Reb Yonason. So now you have these 4. Reb Chanina, Reb Yonason, Reb Chaviva. They sound similar, Yochanan, Yonason. So it's sort of a mistake or whatever. Let's flip it. Okay. So what did they say? Esther sent to Chachamim. Put me in there. Make a sefer out of me. Make it a Megillah. It says in Mishlei, I could only write you 3 times. The Mechias HaMalek could only be written 3 times. Shalishim v'lo revayim, only 3, not 4. You're going to be the 4th. They found a source that they could write a Megillah. That what? So we're going to take everything that's within the Torah, even though it's in two separate places, Mishnah Torah, and before that is one. Everything in the Torah is one. Some say Mishnah Torah is like just it's repeating. Okay, but the point is Tanakh. So Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim. Whatever's in the Torah is considered one. Zikaroi, Mashikos B'Nevi'im, is everything that's written in the Nevi'im. So that's the second source. Basefer. It says Basefer. So now I have a source that I could write a Megillah about what happened. Megillah, even though it's referring to getting rid of Haman, who's Amalek. Great. I hope you're coming back, Gary. What if the system goes down? Ketanoi. You just snuck out the door. Anybody know how to operate the system? Shkoyach. Ketanoi exois mashikosov kan. Zikara mashikosov b'mishnah Torah. So now, sorry. Ketanoi. So there's actually machlokes tanoi. So we're going to see the first shita argues on what we just said. Now what? Exois mashikosov kan. Here in the Torah. Zikaroin, Mashikaso, B'Mishnah Torah. So the Torah is divided into two sources, actually two. Basefer, instead of using the word Basefer to teach us Ksuvim, a new Megillah, Mashikaso B'Nevi'im, Divrei Rabbi Yeshua. So we have to remember this Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua argues. And he says we don't have a source to give us Rishos to write a Megillah. You don't write a Megillah according to him. So you take the two sources in the Torah, make them one. Zikara, that comes as a source for the Navi. Basefer, Megillah, great. That's what we had before. Here's a source that he's supposed to write it down and put it into parchment, to Megillah in the Ksuvim. Shmuel comes along Shmuel and he says, Esther, Eina mitama zayadayim. So we learned that a Sefer Torah is mitami your hands. If you touch a Sefer Torah, that's why you see people by Glila, they use their talis. It's mitami your hands. Why? Because you're not supposed to touch a Sefer Torah with your naked hands. Arum. It's called arum. Naked hands. You need to wear gloves. You need to put something on. And if you're going to be over on that halacha, and you're going to touch a Sefer Torah without some sort of chatzitza, then I'm going to make your hands tamei. That if you touch truma, you can't eat the truma. You can't eat the truma. I'm going to be geyser on your hands tuma. So now you're going to be careful and you're going to wear the proper attire, whatever it is, gloves or whatever. Remember the Sava Shmuel Esther la beruch hakodesh nemra. But from the fact that Shmuel says that Megillah says the right, we all take the Megillah and we fold it up like this and we roll it. There's no isser to touch the Megillah with your hands. So you see that Shmuel holds the chayra that it wasn't written beruach hakodesh. It doesn't have that kedusha. But that's not true. V'amar Shmuel Esther beruach hakodesh nemra. Esther was written beruach hakodesh. Says the Gemara. Yeah, it was written beruach hakodesh nemra likros. We have to memorize about peh. I don't know how you do that. I mean, it's like a 45-minute laning. You have to memorize about peh. You're not allowed to take it and put it down in writing. It's not like your typical ksuvim, neviim. MMA, if you do, it's okay. Like you don't. It's not matam anything. It's like a chumash. It doesn't have kedusha. So now we're going to go through other ksuvim. Koyheles is not metama the hands. Umachloikis b'shir hashir. So Rameir holds Koyheles doesn't have that kedusha. Shir hashirim, according to one man, the Omar does have kedusha. The other one says not. Rabbi Yossi Omer shir hashirim metama seidayim. Shir hashirim is kadosh. It's metama the hands. Umachloikis b'koyheles. Machloikis whether or not Koyheles has tum or not. Rabbi Shimon Omer Koyheles mikuli b'shamai umechumri b'silel. Koyheles is a kula b'shamai and a chumra b'silel. Aval Rus v'shir ve'Esther. What does it say here? Look. What does it say? Rus v'shir ve'Esther. Esther mitam v'seidayim. We just finished saying that Rus is not mitam v'seidayim. Avi. Esther mitam v'seidayim. So it says Meshufurish, not like Shmuel. Shmuel says Esther is not mitam of the hands. Over here it says that Esther has enough kedusha in it that's mitam of the hands. Says the Gemara, Yeshua. What does Rabbi Yeshua say? Rabbi Yeshua says the word Bas Sefer doesn't come to teach us a special halacha about Megillah. The word Bas Sefer comes to say Nevi'im. In other words, Rabbi Yeshua is of the opinion you don't write a Megillah, it doesn't have kedusha. So Shmuel has who to hold like. Shmuel holds like the Manda Omar that Megillah doesn't have kedusha. There's other Manda Omrim, other Tanaim that hold that the Megillah does have kedusha. Tanya Reb Shimon ben Manasseh Omer. Today's daf has some of the most famous lines of all of Shas, and a Geshmaka song coming up on Amud Beis. Tanya Reb Shimon ben Manasseh Omer. Koheles einoi mitamis hayadayim. It's not Ruach HaKodesh. Shleima, it's a beautiful piece, but it was done with his Chachma, not Ruach HaKodesh, and therefore, it's not divided, it's not from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it doesn't have Kedusha. What do you mean? Shlomo Melech said many things. Shlomo Melech said 3,000 mishalim, and therefore what? So what? So if he wrote down Koheles, then obviously Koheles is very special. It does have Kedusha. If Shlomo Melech said 3,000 mishalim, so then why do you pick just whatever's inside Koheles? Obviously, that has Kedusha, it should be Mitami Yadayim. And I'll bring you another raya. Al Toisif al Dvarov. It says Mufurash in Mishlei, Perik Lamed, you're not allowed to add to what I'm saying, Shlomo Melech says. In other words, can't add because this is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and that's it. It has Kedusha. My V'oimer, every time the Gemara brings a second raya, we have to understand why. Why was it necessary? V'chiteima, Meimar, Tuva Amar. Diboy Yichtav, Udiboy Lo Yichtav. Maybe he said many things, and some of them you can write down, and some of them you can't. Toshma, or whatever you want, you can do. You just write some, yes, not. Toshma, Al Toisiv Al Dvorov. No, it's Kadosh, and it's exactly what's written and nothing else. Tanya Rebbe Eliezer Oimer, Esther, Beruach HaKodesh Nemra. Shenemar, Vayoyim HaHamon Beliboy. So now the Gemara is going to go through a bunch of different psukim in the Megillah to prove that the Megillah was Ruach HaKodesh. So here's one. It says, the king is asking Haman, what should I do to somebody that I have to award? So Haman is thinking in his head, who does a king want to award? Probably me, I'm number one. So he starts saying, give him the crown, give him clothing. Says the Gemara, you see, how did the Megillah know what he was thinking? If the Megillah knew what he's thinking, then it's Ruach HaKodesh. What's the obvious answer to that? No. Why? Why is it Pasha?
He's arrogant, guys. He did what he actually did. He had him honor himself.
Because he was the closest to the king, and he just figured out that that's what the king wants. And therefore he added. He started adding. You see that he added. He started saying things that are crazy. Why would the king let anybody wear his crown? Why would the king let him? He felt it's him. Let's push a little bit. Says the Gemara. Another ayah. Rabbi Akiva Omer Esther Ruach HaKodesh Nemar Shenemar V'ti Esther Noises Chayin Be'enei Kol Re'el. How does the Megillah know that everybody found favor in Esther? Whoever looked at her and said, great person. What? Obviously, the Megillah knew Baruch HaKodesh. That's how it was. So, here's the pasuk. I don't know if you can read it. It's kind of small. We know the story. Bigzam and Seresh were upset at the king. They wanted to kill Achashverosh, and then what does it say? The following pasuk: So this is an interesting raya from the fact that Mordechai had Ruach HaKodesh and he knew what Bigzam and Seresh wanted to do and accomplish. So that means the whole Megillah was Baruch HaKodesh. It's a little bit of a jump, okay? So
You've already explained that away. You said that he spoke their language, didn't you?
that's how you learned in Cheder. We didn't know that yet. We know that from this Gemara right here. That's exactly how I know it. But very good. That's the answer. He spoke their language. Rabbi Yossi ben Maseches Megillah Esther Baruch HaKodesh Nemro Shenemar Uba Bizo Lo Yisholchus Yodam. So what happened? Here, another pasuk. They killed Aseres b'nei Haman ben Amdasa Tzori Ayudim Haragu. They killed the 10 sons. Uba Bizo Lo Yisholchus Yodam. Had the Megillah know that whenever Klal Yisrael killed the enemy, they didn't take the loot. Maybe somebody pocketed something. So that's Ruach HaKodesh. They sent back that they didn't take the loot. Why? Because taking loot would upset Achashverosh. Achashverosh said, take care of your enemy. But to go and go in there and start ruffling through the pockets, that's already low. That would upset him. Omar Shmuel, you have it awesome. Says Shmuel. Shmuel is an Amoira. Says Shmuel the Amoira, you have it awesome. Hava Amino, I would have said Milsad Adifa Mekulu, I would have said something that's much more powerful than all the Tanaim that are greater than me. Shenemar Kimu V'Kiblu. It says in the pasuk, Kimu V'Kiblu. What does it mean? Kimu L'Malo, Masha Kiblu L'Mata. Mine is pretty geshmak, like we're very familiar with all these psukim, so it's just come. We don't have to. We know what it means. Kimu, the kiblu. They accepted upon themselves. They did everything. Kimu lemalo, masha kiblu lemata. So the Gemara darshans. What does it mean? Kimu v'kiblu. They're mekayim. What up there? Masha kiblu lemata. In other words, start over there. We got it down here. So this whole Megillah came from up there. I could slug up every single one of these rayas besides Shmuel's. Let's start from the beginning. What does Reuven Bodenheim say? In his heart. Says Gemara, Svaru. There's nobody as important as Haman. Why did he add stuff? Let him wear the king's clothing. Crazy stuff. Because he's thinking about himself. He's a narcissist. He's thinking about himself. What could I get? Oh, obviously, the king wants to surprise me. And then the king actually did a double reverse psychology on him. So let's see what he wants and whatever he wants. But he didn't chop that. So he's like, I want to wear the king's crown in the street. Okay. The Akiva, that whoever saw her found favor in her. Says the Gemara, let's see Rashi inside for a second, like 10 lines from the bottom. You ever heard that expression? People like when they see, if you I don't know if you ever had it, but I used to work in Indianapolis, or you work in these crazy places. You don't see a Jew for a week, and then you see like anybody. It could be anybody. It could be even like I don't know what's a good example. Somebody in Eretz Yisrael, you would walk by and spit at him. You run over to him and you give him a hug. Wow, a Jew! You lift him up. You do hagba. Yid. That's how it is. It's like doesn't matter. A Chilaini, a Yerushalmi, whatever. He's like, wow, Yid. Givaldik. And the same is the opposite also. It's over there, that's how it goes. You see, a Mishalanu, unbelievable. Huh? Yeah, you love them. All of a sudden, the real Ahava comes out. Unfortunately, we're so used to Yidden, and there's so many of them. So you start having tinus, this guy and that guy. But when you don't have them for a while, no, like, I remember driving in like some weird, like a different state, and you see a guy in a yarmulke on the highway. It's like, wow. So there's another one. It's like, okay, huh?
MOT, member of the tribe.
MOT, member of the tribe, exactly. So it's Svar Pshuta. She looked like every Ummah, like a chameleon. She looked like this nation, like that nation. So everybody said, wow, she's one of ours. V'adri Meir. Vayivoda David and Mordechai. How did Mordechai know what Bixon and Seresh were planning? The Omar Bixon Beseresh, Shnei Tarsim Hoyu. They were from Taras, and they spoke Tarsi, and they were sure that Mordechai doesn't understand, and Mordechai understood everything, and therefore wasn't Ruach HaKodesh B'chlal. There's once a maskil that proved from this Gemara that all yeshiva guys have to learn different languages. You see, Mordechai knew all the languages, and Memela, and that's how so Memela have to learn languages. So the Rav told him, Adarabba, you see that you don't learn languages. If everybody learned languages, then the Tarsim wouldn't speak in front of him. They were sure nobody knows any other language. It was just because Mordechai was part of the Sanhedrin, so he spoke all the languages. Says the Gemara, V'ad Rabbi Yossi ben Damascus, Ubabiza le'shalchus yadam. How does the Megillah know that they didn't take from the loot? Dilma Christak each other. Maybe everybody, every city sent to Mordechai. Don't worry, we didn't take anything. Everybody sent in a telegram, a fax, an email. We didn't take anything. So he knew. He got hands-on information. Says the Gemara, the Shmuel Vadi Leslie Pircha. But Shmuel's vard, the Kimu v'Kiblu, from top to bottom, that doesn't have a Pircha. Omer Avino, this is what people say. Tova chada pilpelto, charifto, mimimali, tzani, kare. Here's the picture. One hot pepper has a lot more flavor than a whole basket of melons, of gourds that barely have a flavor. More, not equals. Equals is probably not the best thing, but I don't know how to do more. Greater than. Oh, I don't know. That's not in Panovich. This is fifth grade stuff right over here. Greater than. Okay, yeah. Next time.
Why is this not insulting for the Tanakh? How does an Amora insult?
It's not. It's Torah. He said a better pshat. When you say a better pshat, there's no insulting. There's no hard feelings. He said even a little guy, a little Amoira, which is a pilpil, said better in this case than all the Tanoim. It's not a machloikis. It's not like halacha. He's saying a pshat.
Maybe Kibbutz wasn't the upstairs and downstairs. It was all Klal Yisrael was together. That was the Pella.
You're saying like the Tanoim. The Achdus. Okay, don't ruin it. It was the hot pepper. Better than anything. Okay, Rabbi Yosef Malcha. Another pshat. How does the Megillah know that we're going to celebrate Purim forever? We're forever going to remember it. Ish l'reyeyu, shtei manois leish echad. It says plural. Umishloyach manois. It doesn't say umishloyach mana. Manois is two. You have to give two foods l'reyeyu to your friend. So that's halacha of mishloyach manos. You have to give two foods, most likely, most whole, two ready to eat foods. Not a frozen piece of meat. You can eat it on the spot. Umatanas levyoinim. Shtei matanos l'shnei bnei adam. Shtei matanos doesn't mean two gifts to two people. Two gifts total to two people. In other words, each person gets one gift. Okay, not 2 times 2, but 2 times 1. Said yesterday, it's really a pruta, but a pruta is nothing. That's not a matana. What's a poor person going to do with a pruta? With 10 agurot, which is 3 cents. No? Yeah, 3.1, whatever, 3 cents. What are you going to do with 3 cents? Nothing. So 20 years ago, Rabbi Yasha Paskin is 50 shekel. I have no idea what the dollar was 20 years ago. But no, because it has to be something that you could eat. A geschmack meal, like a steak. What are you going to do with even 50 shekel? You can't buy a good steak for 50 shekel. Yeah, in those days, maybe. It had to do with the fruit has to do with the silver. The price of silver is very, very low today.
It was $12, $13 at that time.
$12, $13. Okay. That's what that very good. Thank you for reminding me. They say that should be like a falafel. Like a meal, like a whole meal, like a lafa. You say, okay, so you can get, for 50 shekel, you can get a nice lafa. Huh? No, that's you're in Kaila, right? Yeah. That's why he said that. In Koil, they eat the 25 shekel. No, we eat the 50 shekel, the big one. It's 52 shekels, so you see the price went up after 20 years. It's 52 shekel. You ever went to the Halal Tayman? That's what I thought. You went? Oh, you were there. Leyb was there. Okay. I bought my chavrusa. One day I had no idea. Like we were just schmoozing. I said, "Let's go. I'm hungry." So I took him to the falafel store. It's like you typically do. You just buy a falafel. 3 months later, he says, "You know, that falafel, yeah. I still feel it. I still could taste it." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like I never really bought a falafel like that. You imagine? Yes. You can imagine. Yes. Mendy also learns with him. Okay, he's special, but not everybody goes to the restaurants. What are you talking about? When I was growing up, we're not going to go there. Maybe we should go there. Once a year, pizza shop. Once a year. Erev Pesach. Pizza. Okay. Some people don't. We're lucky. Yeah. No, my kids fight because they don't like this pizza. He likes this pizza, so we have to get from 2 pizza shops 3 times a week. Not joking. Not my shaya. Come to my house, you'll see 2 delivery guys, and they both like each other's, but they need to be in charge. You know, they have to. Each one has to be whatever. I saw from Shimon Pinkos very, very interesting. Why is it the mashlach manas you give to one person, but matanas levyanim you give to 2? So he says there are 2 types of gifts, and one is a gift similar to like what you give somebody you love. You love your wife, you give her flowers, but you wouldn't give every one of your neighbors flowers. You're taking away from your wife when you give your neighbor flowers also. It's your beloved person here. Here's a mashlach manas. Or come out of fizeh, you shouldn't give a lot of mashlach manas. Whereas gifts to the poor is a different type of giving. Okay. Now, if you had to spend money on Purim, you had a certain amount of money, you're in Koil, you only have X amount, you have $150. What do you do with it? Do you buy all your neighbors Mishlach Manas? Do you give tzedakah, matanas navyanim? Do you make a beautiful su'uda? What do you do with the money? What do you do with the money? Nur Rabbi said, what's the most important mitzvah on Purim? Huh? Adalaya, you'd buy wine. Very good. Matanas navyanim. So we got 2 against 1. They're right. Matanas navyanim. Spend your money on the poor. Give the money to the poor. Why? Because that... All right, Zok the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya. Who's Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya? Rabbi Isai. Not Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Not. Huh? Grandson. All the kids know. Pshee. If the kids know, Kolchkin, the adults. The grandson of Rabbi. Shodalei Rabbi Shaya. Atma de Igla Tilta. I'm telling you right now, we were this close of having the eagle right here, but whatever. Somebody fell asleep. I'm not kidding. It was supposed to be here. Anyways, a thigh of a calf. He sends him a whole thigh of a calf. Iglatilta, we know, usually means the 3rd born, which is the best of the best. L'chayr has to be cooked, according to the Amanda Omar that says you have to give it ready-made. You can't just give him a frozen piece of veal. It has to be cooked. The garba the chamra and a bottle of wine. Garba socks, very good. Shalach lei. So Rabbi Yehuda sent Rabbi Shaya. Shalach lei. Kiyamta banu rabbeinu u'mashleach manos ish l'rei eyu. And the Vilna Gaon takes out. He says it seems like from Rashi also that the words of matanas levyanim doesn't exist because he sent mishleach manos. He didn't send matanas levyanim. You're mekayim. In other words, it seems like there's a nida in the paiskim. Could you be mekayim mishleach manos with wine? Do you need 2 foods, or is a liquid like wine also considered? It seems like it's okay for most of them. We just turned to Amud Beis, sponsored by Aaron Stroke and honor my parents Josh and Yom Stroke, and zechus nishmas Aaron and Shimon HaKohen, sponsored anonymously as a zechus for shidduchim for my siblings and myself. Says the Gemara. And by the way, the Rabbeinu Chananel on the side over here, if you look, his guy is a little bit different, and he said, you didn't send me enough stuff. You didn't give me wine, you sent me one thing, just a giant piece of cow is not enough. So he said, okay, fine. So he sent him 3 bottles of wine and 3 pieces of cat. Some want to prove from here that you could be Yitzy Mishal Chmanis. If it's a nice thing, you give 2 cakes, even though it's the same cake. Some say, no, the kids are, it's a whole piece. But one thing you do see, it seems like, that each person and what they're right. If you're going to Gvir, don't give him, that little bisli and 2 jelly beans and say Yitzy. That's not right for that. Each person and their, you go to my chavrusa, give him a falafel. You better be careful. You might chveisvas. So each person and what they're right for. Rabba Shodale Limori Barmar Biyada Baya Mole Taska the Kasba. A whole sack of dates. Remember, dates were very choshev. Umole Koso Kimcha Davshuna. And Rashi explains they would take the wheat and they would caramelize it. It would become like sweet. Davshuna was sweet. Seems like you could eat it as is also according to the Mando Amar. Listen to this line. Ichakla malkalahevi. If a farmer, chaklai, a poor person becomes a king, isn't he going to remove that basket that he runs around feeding his cows? He has an ugly basket around his neck. He just became royalty. Isn't he going to take off that basket? So we could also think about this. I was thinking about this morning. I'm talking to myself. When you start learning Torah and you get involved in Torah, you become a king. It's time to remove that schmutz, that Netflix stuff. Yeah? That's what Doyle was doing. One after another, getting rid of Netflix. Who? Who said that? Who got rid of Netflix? You. And Nathan O'Garrick got rid of Netflix. He said by the Siyum, right? You still off it? Or you went back? You're off it? Kol hakavod. Shoivevim. You hear this line, Nachamal. Ichakla malki lehevi. If a peasant becomes a king, dikula mitzavari le'noches, he's not going to remove the stupidity that he had before. No, because the point of the Gemara is, you're in a bad habit and you reach a different madrega. You're not the same person you were a month ago. You just made another siyum and another siyum. So you're going to hold on to the stupidity that you had last year and the year before. You have to make a cheshbon. What's going on here? It doesn't pass me. He sent him a whole basket of this stuff. Ginger. Umala kasa de pilpelta arika. And a cup full of this long pepper. Eliakim from the Koilel sent me. He said, these are the 2 foods, pilpel charifta, the long pilpel, and zangvilas and psachim and beis. The Gemara says there's only 2 foods in the entire universe that don't have a side effect. Every food you eat bread, it's geschmack, but then it causes something over there. This causes high blood pressure, this causes cancer. Zangvila and pilpel charifta, the Gemara says, has 0 side effect. Best food in the world. And here are the 2 foods together. Omar Abaya, Hashtom Amar, Anoshadri Leichuya. I sent him sweet stuff, Vishadali Churpa, and he sent me back spicy. Omar Abai, Kinafkimi Beimar, have a savannah. So I got to tell you this real quickly. I said this before, but for the new guys, I couldn't help myself. The first time, my wife, who was a Kala, came to visit us, and she was already in New York, so I never had a chance to visit her parents in Chicago. She came to my house. I'm just going to describe for the new guys. If you heard this already, it's nothing interesting. She comes to our house for Shabbos. And to me, I was already used to this. We get up Vasikin, we come back from Vasikin. My father sits down 7:30. Okay, no, let's go. Mealtime, I got to go learn. Now, regular people, even if they're down Vasikin, they wait a couple of hours. No, not in my house. 7:30, knock on the Kala's door. Time to get up. 7:30, yeah, 7, let's go. She comes to half this, comes to the Suda, sits down. First course. Mother, aliyah, shalom, unbelievable chef, whips out, Kala's here, you got to take out the best of the best. A half a grapefruit, puts it down, scoop of sugar on the top. Don't worry, she cut out the whole thing with a special knife. You can mamish eat it easy, no problem. Second course, egg salad. Meanwhile, the Kala, no, this is not the grapefruit. Egg salad, no. Okay, she's waiting for the basar. So, out comes the chont. Now, the chont didn't come out like it usually comes out in a nice pot. Each person got their own individual thing that the mother, aliyah shalom, put in there. Now, there's no meat in the chont, of course, because, the meat has problems with the chsherim. Maybe they couldn't afford it. I don't know. There was a little chicken in there. She got a little chicken, a little this, a little potato. Here, Kal says, no, I don't do the chon thing. Especially not, she didn't say, but stop. She doesn't do the chicken chon. She's waiting. Chon's over. I'm talking about 25 minutes into the Suda. The Suda was over. My father has to go learn. She's like, what? What just happened? She's starving. They wake her up at 7:30 and they give her a grapefruit. I didn't chop how bad it was until the following week I go to Chicago. Come to Chicago. The Olam sits around the table. First, it's 45 minutes. There's schmoozing. Nothing's happening. This guy, this. All of a sudden, two goyim start bringing stuff out. They're flying. This type of meat. Ribs. She makes stuff that nobody eats. Nobody eats. It goes to yeshivas, turkeys, and duck. Nobody touches it. 6 types of meat. 4 types of this. Sudas melachim. And the 2 guys are not enough. My shver gets up. My shviger, they're coming. They're going. The whole time it's more and more. Dessert is like, it takes 40 minutes just to take out the stuff of dessert. And that this is the Gemara right here. When you see this, you'll understand. Says Gemara. So I went from Rabba to Mari's house. Krivuli shitin soy the shitin minigdera. It's not even a guzma. I have it by my shver every single Shabbos. 60 plates worth of food. V'achlibu mamish like those guys in New York. You ever see the siyum? What they do there? The crazy amounts of food. Why? V'achlibu shitin pluge and I ate. He says 60 pieces of food. Ubi shula basraisa have a correlate soli kedar. The archworld teaches this pot roast. Mamish, this pot roast, this veal, this tenderloin. Again, if my wife would have seen me, she would have divorced me after I read this line. I wanted to eat my plate. I was like laughing my head off this morning. He wanted to, he was mamish, she gave him such an appetite, all this food, he wanted to eat the plate also. Okay, that's what happened over there. The Marsha says, obviously we're not talking about food, we're talking about Torah. He gave him 60 Maseches and the whole thing. Okay, Ayin Shah. Omer Abai Hamid Amri Inchi, Kofin Anya V'lo Yoda. That's mamishas. We thought we had it good. We had the grapefruit and the chicken shont. When you're poor, you don't even know you're starving. Inami Rav Chelebesim Moshkiach, and this everybody knows. There's always room for dessert. So it gives you revach when you have something good. There's always room for dessert. I saw that it's actually a physical thing. When the body smells that sugar, it actually relaxes the stomach, and you're able to push more stuff in there. He would eat by him 1 year, and Abai Barovin would eat by him the next year. The 2 brothers, right? It makes sense. 2 brothers, 1 year you by me, next year I eat by you. There's a shayla, they bring this to la halacha. Are you allowed to do it and say, I'll be tonight that you give me a suda on the spot, not that same year? Okay. Omer Rava. Mechai vinish. Mechai vinish levesume bepurat. Mechai vinish levesume bepurat. Oh yade lo yoda, yade lo yoda. All right, so you mechuyev, one of the most famous lines in Shas. Where does this line come from? Right here, Daf Amud Beis. You have to drink enough wine until you don't know the difference between Haman leBaruch Mordechai. Now, in the Bir Halacha, he talks very much against getting drunk, and he says it brings to a lot of terrible things. People forget to say Birkas Hamazon. They hurt each other's feelings, etc., etc. Ayin Sham. What you should do is, he says, drink a little bit, but then take a nap. Rabba Verbzeiro, Avdu Sudas Purim Bade Adodi. This is one of the most incredible Gemaras in Shas. One of the most famous. It just has a big question mark on it. Rabba and Verbzeiro had a Purim Suda together. Ibasum. They got drunk, or Reb Zera got drunk. Come Rabba Shachti Reb Zera, Rabba Shachti Reb Zera, L'mochar Boy Rachmei, and the next day, I guess, after he was over the Shichrus or whatever, V'achye, and he was Mechayim Mason. Now, the Ran says, based on this Gemara, we have to abolish the whole thing of Chayev Inish Levesume Ad Lo Yoda. he paskins, there's no more getting drunk like that because of what happened. The Maharsha says there's so many Torahs on this Gemara. The Maharsha says that what happened was Rabbah gave Reb Zera too much to drink. He killed him by giving him too much to drink. Yes, he died. But it was his fault. He shechted him. You're ritzeach. Like you say, you killed somebody in a car accident. You're ritzeach. It doesn't mean he shechted, took a knife and killed. He gave him too much to drink. He should have been more responsible. So there's a lot of different pshatim here. L'shona, Omar Lei, the following year, this is also hilarious, actually. Yes, I shechted you and everything was not so geshmak, but you know what? Remember, we had such a good time before that. Why don't you come over again? No, last year was Oisnam. You were able to mechayim me. I'm not tzoymech on nisim every year. You might shecht me again. If you eat the Suda after Megillah reading at night, the night before, you're not yoytza by time you may mishta v'simcha ksiv. It's days of mishta v'simcha, but it says days. You may. Rav Ashi Avi Yosef Kamei Rav Kahano. Huh? Who? Yeah. Some say it's with the sin. Sachte l'Rav Zera. Okay, different pshat. I'm telling you, there's a lot of pshat. Rav Ashi Avi Yosef Kamei Rav Kahano Noga v'Yosef Rabbanon. What's going on? It's nighttime and they're not showing up to my Suda. Amalei, my time Yosef Rabbanon didn't treat the Suda's Purim. Maybe they're in the middle of the Suda. Makes sense. Amalei v'Le'av Efshel Michla Burta. This is an amazing Gemara, mamish amazing Gemara. Why didn't they? They should have came the night. They should have made the Suda the night before, so they could come to the Rebbe. What, you don't know the halacha of Rava that you're not yoytza loyatzi dechavasai? Amalei, Omar Rava Haki, really? Rava said this. Amalein, yes, in fact he did say you're not allowed to make the Suda at night. I didn't know this. Tanamine arbain zimnin. He repeated it over. When you hear a dvar chidush, you repeat it over and over and over until it becomes part of you. 40 times. V'domile kimandemanach bikisei. Then it became as if it's in his pocket. He just pull it out of his pocket anytime he wants. Says the Elegant Mishnah, official Mishnah, Latzlacha Ruchni, V'Shimshim David Lipa, Beilis Beila. So we're going with that theme that there's no difference between Purim, or the Rishon, or the Sheni. So now we're going to continue with that theme, even though it has nothing to do with Maseches Megillah. There's no difference. Rashi says we're not talking about the Einchim, we're talking about Lechatchila. What you could do Lechatchila, you could cook on Yontif. We know that is the only difference. But in terms of Einchim, on Shabbos, you get Misa, on Yontif you don't. Says the Gemara, what if I want to prepare the both? Asur maslisin like Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanya ain't ben Yontif the Shabbos, elo echel nefesh. Rabbi Yehuda matter af machshir echel nefesh. Something that has to do to prepare the food is also okay, like cutting down the wood or whatever. My time is Tanakama. On my kara who veloy machshirov. You could cook, but you can't make a knife to do something to chef or whatever. Rabbi Yehuda Amar lochem lechol tzorchechem. Anything you need to get to that point of having food, even hachana. What does he do with lochem? Lochem v'loy lo'av dikechavim. You can make food, but don't make it for the cleaning lady. Lochem v'loy leklavim, and not for the animals. You see that they had dogs in those days. It says who? Ksiv lochem. If you can make that knife before Yontif, you're not allowed to. If you don't have any options, then you are allowed to do it on Yontif itself, according to Yehuda. Have a wonderful day. Oh, I forgot to show this. It's a Rambam. I guess I said it, no? Yeah, but this is beautiful. Maybe I'll tell Yosef. I'll tell him to put this in.